You know, it feels like we're all drowning in data, right? But do we really get a sense of just how big it all is? Today, we're going to climb the ladder of data, starting with a single letter and going all the way up to the entire digital universe. So let's start climbing.
So, here it is, the big question. We hear terms like big data thrown around constantly, but what does that even mean? The numbers are so huge they just sound like nonsense. So to make any sense of them, we've got to go right back to the very beginning.
Exactly. You can't understand the cosmos without first understanding the atom. And in the digital world, that fundamental little building block is the byte.
Okay, so this is the byte. It's really the smallest unit we ever talk about in a practical sense. Every single text you send, every photo, every video, it all starts as a huge collection of these little guys. Think of them like digital Lego bricks. By themselves, they're super simple, but if you stack enough of them together, you can build literally anything.
So, how do we get from one single byte to something we can actually use? Well, let's take a quick trip back in time to what I like to call the nostalgia units. These are the ones that powered the very first personal computers. For some of us, this is going to be a real trip down memory lane.
First up is the kilobyte. That's 1,024 bytes. Today, an email with a few kilobytes of text is basically invisible. It's nothing. But back then, this was the first major step up that ladder. This quote just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? A single photo you take on your phone today is way bigger than an entire floppy disk that used to hold entire video games in software. It just goes to show you how much our expectations for data have completely exploded.
And the next rung on our ladder was the megabyte. All of a sudden, we could store more than just text. We could have decent quality photos and, of course, our favorite songs. This was the unit that really brought digital media to all of us, and having a single song take up a few megabytes felt absolutely revolutionary at the time.
All right, let's jump forward to today. Now we're talking about the units you see on the box for a new phone, a laptop, or a gaming console. This is the language of our modern digital lives. And wow, what a jump it's been! A top-of-the-line computer in the 90s might have bragged about having 500 megabytes of storage. Today, a standard laptop comes with a terabyte. That's 2,000 times bigger. It's just an unbelievable leap in only a couple of decades. Now here's the real workhorse of our digital lives, the gigabyte. Your phone's storage measured in gigabytes. The apps you download, the games you play, the HD movies you stream, it is all happening on the gigabyte scale. And think about it, a single gigabyte can hold 1,000 novels. That is an entire personal library right there in your pocket. And now, the terabyte. This is where storage starts to feel, well, truly immense. A 1 terabyte hard drive is pretty common, but just look at that comparison. All the text from one of the largest libraries in the world could fit on just a handful of drives you can pick up at any electronics store. So what this really means is that digitizing all of that human knowledge is no longer some huge institutional challenge. It's a consumer-level task you could do with hardware sitting right on your desk.
And that's our cue to make a turn. We're leaving the world of personal devices behind, and we're entering the world of big data, that massive industrial-scale information that powers giant corporations and scientific research. So to wrap our heads around this next massive leap, let's think about a company we all know. How much data do you think it takes to store and stream thousands of shows and movies to millions of people 24/7?
Well, the answer is measured in petabytes. And this is where the comparisons just get wild. A single petabyte is enough data to record an HD video that runs nonstop for 13 years. Companies like Netflix and Google are dealing with this scale every single day.
The next step up from that is the exabyte. And to understand this one, just look at this staggering fact. Back in 2001, the entire internet was estimated to be about 5 exabytes. Today, we create more data than that every single month. The pace of creation is it's mind-boggling.
And that incredible pace brings us to our final section, data on a planetary scale. We're not talking about a single company anymore. Now we're talking about the digital output of our entire species. Just look at that number, 4 zettabytes. What in the world could that possibly be? That was the amount of traffic that crossed the entire internet in just 1 year. Every video streamed, every email sent, every single photo uploaded from all around the world. At this scale, data stops feeling like something you can hold. It starts to feel more like a force of nature, like weather patterns or ocean currents.
And here we are. We've made it to the very top of the ladder.
The Yottabyte. It is so ridiculously large that no system on Earth can actually store one yet. It's more of a theoretical container, big enough to hold the entire digital history of humankind. For now, it's really a concept we use to try and imagine the future of data.
So we've climbed all the way from a single character to a unit that could theoretically hold all of human creation. Let's put it all together one last time for a clear perspective.
And this table just sums up our journey perfectly. We started with a single letter, then we moved to a song, then a movie, then a massive library. And from there, the scale just goes vertical. We jumped to decades of nonstop video, and then to the traffic of the entire global internet for a year. Each of these big steps is 1,000 times bigger than the one before it. It's a true exponential explosion of information. And that brings us to the end of the ladder. For now, we've reached the largest officially named unit, the Yottabyte. But our ability to create data, it isn't slowing down one bit. Soon, we're going to create more data than a Yottabyte can even hold. So the final question really is, what do we call what comes next, and how are we even going to begin to comprehend it?